Hello. Thank you for joining this live session, whether you're joining live or watching it later. I am eager to share the article of the day today because what rarely happens is you read an article and it completely resonates with you. I mean, not to the extent that you feel like you could have written every word. And that's how I feel about today's article and topic. And the article I'm going to use as a basis for our conversation is an article by Garth Graham from Stratmor Group in their current insights for June. And the title of the article is Why a Refi Wave Won't Save Every Lender and How to Prepare. I have to just say, I want to change a thing about this article. I completely agree with with Garth's opinions and his point of view on this. And I really hope that, industry leaders, loan officers, my peers take to heart what Garth is saying. And here's the gist of the article. And what Garth says is, if lenders are hoping for the upcoming refi market to create a miracle for them, and by miracle I interpret to mean to reverse 8 quarters of losses, sometimes heavy losses, the battle cry is just wait until rates come down, wait, volume will pick up, wait, we'll have more units, and incremental units will lower our incremental costs, lowering our corporate allocation, making us profitable. But what Garth in this article argues is maybe not. Maybe not. And he uses the analogy of a rising tide raises all boats or lifts all boats. He goes, the rising tide of this refi wave will most likely not rise the outcome of every lender. Because unlike history, because in the past it has, including the great refi boom of just a couple of years ago, where the rising refi tide certainly lifted all the companies, this time will most likely be different. And he makes really good arguments, which I'm looking forward to sharing with you. So he gets into, I think he has 4 points on why this time is different, and see if they resonate with you. Here's the first point, and he titles it, Servicing Portfolios Beat Trigger Leads. And what he's really saying is servicing is a different animal today than it was even 2 or 3 years ago, right? Today, you know what? Customers are actually satisfied with their servicers. They're no longer this evil entity that has to change their name every 5 years because they have such a poor brand. Instead, servicers are doing a pretty good job. And customers like their servicer, and they have a very positive relationship. And so now, where we used to be able to compete against servicers because everybody just detested them, that's not going to happen today. The other thing is, companies that actually did the origination and then kept the servicing, they've been able to wow their clients twice, both in origination and through servicing. And so both of those platforms, whether you're just a servicing company or you're the originating company and the servicer, have a huge advantage with the customer. And then the final thing about servicing portfolios, today they're engineered to capture the refi business. And if you think about it, just 15 years ago, the largest servicing companies would contract with lenders to handle the runoff. They would contract, I believe, Depot was a big player in that market where they handled the top 5 servicers' runoff business. And so the servicers weren't even interested in capturing the business. They just wanted the servicing back. But today, the companies that have bought the bulk of servicing bought it with the intent to refi it. They bought it with the intent for long-term ownership of it. And they're going to fight tooth and nail to keep it. And so those things make it, the servicing companies, totally different ballgame for us. And then second, in the past, the way that it's worked is the refi opportunity started with the servicer, and then it went through, and then if the servicer didn't capture it, it then went through the funnel of a consumer direct, and if the consumer direct couldn't handle it, then retail bank and retail loan officers would get an opportunity at the client. Not all clients, but speaking in general. So much so that in the last 6 years, consumer direct platforms have captured over 50% of the refi business. So for the past 6 years, which includes the refi boom. And in fact, in 2018, 2019, consumer direct platforms captured over 60% of the refi business because consumer direct platforms are engineered to win that business. One, they have the lead sophistication and the lead sources, they have the marketing, they have the efficient platform today, and they have the pricing. So we have to, so IMB needs to fight the servicer who now has a good relationship with the client. And remember, the servicer might be able to refi the client by just refining the note, which just means it's a signature, right? No cost, simple signature, no appraisal, and so they can offer the lowest rate and offer a better experience. And then a consumer direct platform is most likely heavily tech enabled. The tax on the client is going to be minimum. They're going to have a really easy experience refining. And the challenge is in the past, like in 2020, 2021, both servicing and consumer direct couldn't handle the volume. So there was enough volume to go around. But today, both those platforms, servicing and consumer direct, have built unlimited capacity, largely through technology, also through processes and people, and they can scale quickly, right? And we're not going to have the bottleneck where overflow comes back to us. And so what Garth argues is that downstream lenders, IMBs, probably won't even see the opportunity to win most of these refis. We won't even see it, which is a really scary thing. And then the fourth thing that Garth brings up is that IMBs simply don't have the correct compensation plan to compete in a refi environment. And this brings up the next point. And if you're a C-suite person, if you're a CEO, if you're a head of sales, and you're going, gosh, this refi boom is going to help us, we're going to do more units, I have bad news for you. Those units are going to come at a lower margin. So your margins, our margins aren't going to improve with this refi boom. Margins improve when capacity is strained. I don't believe we're going to get the constraint on capacity to actually move margin. I think instead, we're going to have a highly competitive market for these refis that are very easy to do, trying to win the customer. We have players like servicers, players like consumer direct, they're trying to win the long-term relationship, and that will be able to go super low. Now, what makes it more difficult for IMBs, and Garth puts this in, I'll put this in a really generic way, is IMBs have to compete with a 100 basis points comp plan, essentially. And they're competing with a 100 basis points comp plan when the average call center LO gets paid 38 basis points. And the average bank LO gets paid 71 basis points. And then the average IMB LO gets paid 100 basis points. That 60 basis points between an IMB and a consumer direct LO pretty much will take the IMB out of the running to be competitive for that refi. And what's interesting, I remember hearing Stan Middleton from Freedom Mortgage, who I believe now has over $1 trillion in servicing. They're largely a servicer today. But he was talking at the gathering here in Scottsdale, and he said, look, all in, it cost my company less than 30 basis points to refi one of our customers. You IMBs try to compete. You guys have a expense cost of 350 basis points. You can't compete with me. Don't even try. And he wasn't being rude about it. He was just, hey, here's the facts, which is kind of how he speaks, which makes him really enjoyable to listen to. But here we are, where IMBs were lugging around 100 basis points comp plan, right? And Garth went on to kind of introduce a different thing. I told you the difference in pay, and if you want, and I highly encourage you, read this article. Read the article. You can go to Stratmor, go to the current insights, or you can go to my LinkedIn. I posted this article this morning. You'll see my comments about the article, and then you'll see a link to it. Just go to my LinkedIn, click on it, you'll get the article. Because I'm giving you just the bare minimum of what was really six, I think it was maybe 9 great pages. So go to the article. But also when he's talking about how IMB comp plans prevent them from winning refi business, and he speaks to consumer direct averages 38.1, IMBs are 99.7 basis points. But he also talked about this commission inflation, and essentially commissions have increased by over 40% in the last 4 years, right? Because the way homes have appreciated. So if I was, an IMB loan officer in 2018, I was earning around $2,000. My average commission was about $2,000. I did that exact same transaction, which is easier today, is tech enabled today, but I now charge $3,000. And it's simply because the loan amount went up. And so one of the things that's interesting about this is that Consumer Direct, their commission has not gone up over time. It's very flat, meaning it's more that a Consumer Direct platform targets a dollar amount they're going to compensate their loan officers, regardless of how it's expressed in bips, not in bips. And so over time, the Consumer Direct loan officer is paid less comparatively, and over time, the IMB loan officer is less competitive. But check out, he has a couple great tables in his article. Check it out. So here's the next really interesting thing, and you can drill down in his article. I think he has some links to go get data. But Stratmor is a huge CX type of firm consultant. They really consult lenders on how to improve CX, customer experience, how to improve repeat business, how to deliver a wow experience to your clients. And so they do very large surveys. And in a recent survey, or in their last surveys, what they found is 55% of the respondents had an issue with the loan origination process that prevented them providing referrals or doing repeat business with that lender. And 55%, you go, not me. Nope, their survey response are across the industry and represent every lender, and in fact, represent almost every loan officer. And what's interesting is oftentimes these respondents that said, no, we had an issue. An issue might have been asking for a document twice. Like that could have just made the customer mad and they don't want to work with you again, right? Like it could be a minor, manufacturing error. But what was interesting they found is many of these customers, these 55% that said, hey, no, we had a manufacturing glitch, we wouldn't use them again and we can't refer them, are the same people that gave the loan officer a 5-star review. And by doing so, giving the loan officer and the original lender a false sense of ownership of that relationship when they really don't own that relationship at all. That relationship's at risk, right? And so that's very interesting. So if the four headwinds on why IMBs will have a hard time winning refi business is the servicing portfolios are better, capacity is no longer a problem, and the main competitors are servicing and Consumer Direct. The IMB comp plan prevents them from being competitive, and then the actual our misjudgment of how our relationship is with our customer and how their experience has been with us has led us to take advantage of what we think that relationship is, which will lead us to not winning that refi opportunity. So very interesting, right? Now, I know that all sounds bleak, and I'm not trying to give a bleak message. It's more of a call to action, because Garth then goes on to say, hey, look, all is not lost for IMBs, right? And he goes, do these things to do the best you can to capture this business. And the first thing is make sure you're in the right channel. And what that means is make sure that you can serve the client the way they want to be served. Make sure that you can give them the experience that they want to be experienced. Make sure that you give them, the whole loan process and the pricing, to capture that client. And then you need to have some sort of centralized Consumer Direct desk to pick up the crumbs so that no customer is left behind. And then next, all lenders really need to figure out what their lead generation, strategy is. What's their lead funnel? If the lead funnel is an IMB, is our distributive loan officers, how effective are our distributive loan officers are going out there and connecting with their past clients and then competing, winning the business? Are we, training them up? Are we coaching them? Are we giving them the tools to go in? Are we explaining the marketplace and what they're going to face? The third point on how to compete for every loan is you better have a really kick-ass, technical term by the way, kick-ass, streamlined process, because in the future, the lender that wins the deal, and more than likely, borrowers on refis are going to shop at more than one place, right? They're a little bit more sensitive. They're going to shop more than one place. The lender that wins the deal is going to offer a good deal and a good experience. And if you stub your toe at any point in the experience, the customer will go with the competitor. So audit your fulfillment, your origination fulfillment process now. Make sure they're streamlined. Make sure they offer a delightful customer experience, and then you have a chance to win. And they also have to be fast. Like they got to be super fast. Like you got to figure out refis 10 days, no more than 14 days. Now that's me saying not Garth, but that's the truth. Those servicers, those consumer directs, they're about turn and burn, man. 10 days, 14 days. You can't be hanging out there 30, 60 days. You just won't be in the business. And then lastly, for any chance of winning, IMBs have to overhaul their compensation plan. And Art Garth says, look, now's the time to do it when you're not doing a lot of refis because it won't really be that painful. If you wait to do it when you're losing all the deals, it's going to be really hard to adjust the ship. But you're going to have to go, look, refine your past book, refine the company's clients, essentially. You have to create a different comp plan for that. It has to be competitive with the servicing models and the consumer direct. And it's going to have to be low. It's going to have to be 50 basis points or less, right? To be able to optimize winning as many deals as possible. Excuse me. So that is Garth's points. I really enjoyed all of them. I really enjoyed this article. I didn't do a great job highlighting the article. I really invite you to go read it. Garth, really good job. Stratmor, good job. We want to win as much business as possible. It's possible. I'll just, I'm just going to riff on some, editorial points points from me, not from Garth. But lenders, you can't look at refis to save you if you're not set up to win in refis. And you got to really look soberly in the mirror and go, can I compete? Do I have the technology? Do I have the lead generation? Do I have the funnel? Do I have the customer experience? Do I have the pricing to go compete? And if not, you really might want to just really check your whole card here on this, right? And then refis are going to be a low margin business. They're not going to be high margin. To compete, you're going to have to be, not only are LOs going to have low comp, but companies are going to have to skinny their margin, which isn't going to save them financially. I understand the idea of economy of scale and be able to spread out your fixed costs. I get it, but it's not going to help if you're doing it at just such razor thin margins. And then the bigger problems for IMBs, as when loan officers are unable to refi their past clients who they think they own, if they can't do it, and they pin the blame on their company for having rates that are too high, when it's really a combination of a whole bunch of things, including their comp. But that's when you're going to have retention issues, right? Because no loan officer likes the idea of losing customers, and so you almost have to fix, or you almost got to solve the refi equation in order to prevent retention issues. And so you might have to do loans at a loss in order to have retention. But that's stuff you'll have to figure out. And then here's a really sad fact. I am a lot of mid-sized IMBs have been, people like Freedom, right, have been paying premium dollars to buy loans with the one goal of refinancing them, right? And they're going to be tough competitors. And so if you've been selling your loans to the highest bidder, and you've been getting the most money from Freedom, you've essentially given your clients away. And it's a sad fact. And you may not believe me. You may say, no, I'm totally wrong. Fine, you can have your own opinion. But I'm telling you, Stan and his team have double barrels pointed at you, and they're going to protect that client. And it's going to be hard to rip them away. And that's the price you pay to get the premium SRP. But I understand that you got the premium because that's, in a world where you're losing money every quarter, you got to do anything you can to be, to stay alive. But I get it. But now you got an uphill battle. And then if IMBs, if you're not servicing your own loans and you got to go compete, you can only compete when you have low comp, low margins. But you also better have a Salesforce head or ninjas at your CRM and your customer intelligence technology. Now you cannot be flying in the dark. You need to have full visibility of every single one of your clients. You got to be ahead. And first, your loan officers need to be in deep relationship before they get to need, right? Deep relationship, and then you better have identifiers in advance of the customer knowing their need so that you get in front of them first. If you haven't invested in this technology, we're already have an uphill battle. We need every tool we have at hand. And so right now, that would be an emergency. Let's audit our CRM. Let's audit our loan officers' activities. Let's audit their consumer contact behavior. Let's audit our consumer intelligence to make sure we're getting in front of the consumer first because we know them the best. And it's not too late to build out a consumer direct platform. And consumer direct platform doesn't mean you build a huge call center. It means, gosh, if we have 50,000 past clients in our book and our loan officers are only willing to contact 10% of them, well, how do we try to maintain a relationship with the other 90%? How do we serve that client? How do we serve the client if the loan officer is unable to serve the client, or on the loan officer's behalf? How do we make it so everybody wins? Now, Garth did mention this several times. I'm loath to mention it, but if you need refis to win, or if you need refis to save you, if that needs to be the miracle wave that lifts your boat, and you're unprepared to compete in refis, your best option may be to sell or to get out of the business. And I'm not saying that flippantly, but if you're to the point where, gosh, I just can't wait till rates get down 5 and I'm going to have such a great experience, but you have not positioned yourself to win in that market, you might want to create another strategy. So that's it. Hopefully everybody listening to me today is out there building a boat that will float and will succeed in the refi market. All you have to do is love on your customers, keep them close, serve them all the time, and you'll be above this. But I love the article. Check it out. You can get it through my LinkedIn. Have a great end of your week, and I look forward to seeing you again. I'll be back tomorrow about the same time. Thanks so much. Have a great day.